Ramses the Great is the only pharaoh who was given a modern passport 3 years after his death. Ramses's body had to be transported to Paris for preservation due to a fungal infection. In Paris, the mummy was greeted with honors like a king. Napoleon fought 62 major battles and 152 minor ones. He controlled most of Europe and was richer than any modern billionaire. He is remembered for the defeat at Waterloo. Adolf and Rudolf Dassler founded the Dassler Brothers Shoe Company. In the 1930s, the brothers joined the Nazi Party. After World War II, the company broke up, and Adolf created Adidas, and Rudolf created Puma. The Romans built roads with drainage systems and multi-layered foundations. The Via Appia, built in 312 before Christ, is still in use. Derinkuyu is the largest underground city discovered in 1963. The city could accommodate 20 people and had a complex system of tunnels and rooms. Ventilation shafts provided air exchange. Thomas Crapper did not invent the flush toilet, but he improved its details. The word shit has nothing to do with his name. Conan Doyle was obsessed with sports and wrote about the characters he inspired. Hitler's mustache was trimmed for the convenience of wearing a gas mask during the First World War. Female doctors opened an all-female hospital and gained a reputation as the best treatment center. Winston Churchill was hit by a car in New York. John Scott Ellis nearly shot down Adolf Hitler in Munich. On December 17, 1903, fewer than 10 people attended the first flight in a Wright brothers-powered airplane. It was a revolutionary moment that began almost secretly. The oldest McDonald's restaurant opened in Downey, California in 1953. It used to be run by the McDonald brothers and it hasn't changed in decades. In 1990, the corporation bought it out, and it became the last independent McDonald's restaurant. The coronation of William the Conqueror at Westminster Abbey on Christmas Day 1066 turned into chaos. The guards mistook the cheers of the crowd for hostile shouts and carried out a brutal massacre of innocent bystanders. Pavlov's house was a fortress in the center of Stalingrad that lasted for 2 months. The Germans lost more soldiers trying to capture this building than during the entire storming of Paris. Churchill's famous speeches were recorded for the BBC only in 1949. Initially, they were broadcast in real time. Cleopatra was married to her 2 Ptolemaic brothers. One of her brothers drowned because of the golden armor, and the other was probably poisoned on her orders. Alexander Graham Bell believed that the correct answer to a call should be, "Hey, hello!" Thomas Edison insisted on the word hello, and eventually won the greeting war. Fidel Castro survived more than 600 assassination attempts. There were attempts from all sides, including ridiculous plans, for example, the offer of a cigar packed with explosives. Florence Nightingale began caring for the sick in her youth, treating injured animals. She has sheltered at least 60 cats and advocated for the use of small animals to help the sick. In 1945, engineer Percy Spencer noticed that a chocolate bar in his pocket had melted under the influence of microwaves from the radar. This accidental moment led to the invention of the microwave oven. On September 8, 1944, Bulgaria was simultaneously at war with the United States, the USSR, Great Britain, and Germany. It was a unique moment of complete isolation in the chaos of war. In the first 6 months of World War II, more people died in road accidents than in the war. Blackout regulations have made driving at night deadly. The eruption of the volcano threw a huge cloud of ash and soot into the atmosphere, which led to a drop in temperature by 2.5 degrees Celsius. It caused chaos, crop failures, and cold weather in Europe. Alexandria, Cordoba, Beijing, and Tokyo were the largest cities in the world in different historical periods. Tokyo became the largest city in the 2000s. William Patrick Hitler, Adolf Hitler's half-nephew, served in the United States Navy. He published the article, "Why I Hate My Uncle," and served until 1947. Toilets with drainage systems have been found in the Neolithic village of Skara Brae in Scotland. The Nassos Palace in Crete had a queen's toilet with clay trays and a flushing system. Adolf Hitler, Benito Mussolini, and Joseph Stalin were nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. These nominations reflect the chaotic political environment of the time. The 18th Amendment prohibited the production, sale, and transportation of alcoholic beverages, but not the consumption of alcohol at home. People continued to drink at home, which led to the popularity of underground bars and parties. The British government stopped searching for the bodies of soldiers on the Western Front in 1921. Richard the Lionheart ruled England from abroad, spending only 6 months in the country in 10 years of rule. He preferred to speak French and treated England as a source of financing for his wars. November 9th in the German calendar is a day associated with important historical events. the revolutions of 1848 to 1849, the abdication of Kaiser Wilhelm II in 1918, the beer hall putsch of Adolf Hitler in 1923, and the Kristallnacht in 1938. In 1989, the Berlin Wall fell, symbolizing the end of the Cold War. In July 1945, the American warship Indianapolis was torpedoed by a Japanese submarine and sank in 12 minutes. Of the nearly 1,200 crew members, about 900 survived, but many died from hypothermia, seawater poisoning, and dehydration. Oceanic great white sharks circled the wreck site, claiming the lives of hundreds of people. Napoleon took 187 horses with him, but by the winter of 1812 only 16 had survived. Blizzards, famine, exhaustion, and brutal ambushes have turned the invasion into an icy graveyard. During World War I, black French colonial troops had a mortality rate 3 times higher than that of white soldiers. They were assigned the most dangerous tasks, such as storming trenches and attacking machine guns. In 1839, the Metropolitan Police Act was passed, prohibiting entertainment on the streets of London. These laws are still in force today, penalizing childhood-like behavior. Japanese samurai applied war paint before the battle, leaving a hole in the helmet for salvation. On Wrangel Island, a tiny population of woolly mammoths survived after disappearing from most of the planet. Babylonian astronomers observed the 5 planets of the solar system in the 2nd millennium BC. Aristarchus of Samos proposed a heliocentric model in which the sun is located in the center of a planetary system. Henry VIII ordered armor for his dog, demonstrating his love for animals and status. The word quarantine comes from the Venetian quarantina, which means 40 days. In the 14th century, Venice isolated travelers for 40 days during a plague epidemic. Lieutenant Hiro Onoda continued to fight for almost 30 years after the end of World War II. His devotion became a symbol of dedication. In 1759, the British apologized to the French for firing on their headquarters. In Scotland and Northern Ireland, before the wedding, the bride was sprinkled with soot, dirt, and feathers to scare away evil spirits. The phrase "okay" appeared in Boston in the 1830s as a joke with a typo. Martin Van Buren used "okay" in his election campaign. Great Britain participated in wars on the territory of almost 90% of the UN member states. The gallows was an early guillotine invented in Yorkshire. She inspired the creation of the Virgo, a similar execution machine. In July and August 1943, the losses of German and Soviet troops near Kursk exceeded the total losses of the United States and Great Britain during the entire war. In the 18th century, about 40% of brides came to the altar pregnant. Mark Twain and Halley's Comet. Edward II died in captivity in September 1327. Legend has it that he was killed by inserting a red-hot poker into his anus. Historians consider this story to be political propaganda. In 1997, a wooden knob on the foot of an Egyptian noblewoman was discovered in Thebes. The prosthesis was practical and aesthetic, designed to be worn in sandals. Dick Turpin, posing as a horse dealer, provoked his death by killing John Robinson's rooster. His actions attracted the attention of 3 local judges. In 1865, Dickens had a train accident, after which he never rode a train again. He helped the other passengers and returned for the manuscript. In early modern Europe and colonial America, moaning ale was brewed to prepare for childbirth. After the baby was born, the remaining ale was poured over the newborn. Lincoln was a wrestling champion, fought about 300 fights and lost only once. His physical strength and agility have helped him in political battles. Henry Hay ordered 2 of his granddaughters to be blinded and their noses cut off. Their mother Julian tried to kill Henry with a crossbow, but missed and jumped off the tower. The planet Pluto got its name thanks to an 11-year-old schoolgirl. The name was appropriate for a cold and dark world far from the sun. Stalin's eldest son died in a German concentration camp while trying to escape. Stalin refused to negotiate the exchange of his son. In 200 BC, Emperor Gaozu built the largest palace on Earth, Weiyang. Today, almost nothing remains of the palace.